Today, we're finally going to take a look at all the heroes in Heroes Forge and give you guys my list of the best characters in the game. So, as of now, there are 30 characters in the game. You'll see I don't have two of them, but I've played them quite a bit in the arena. I've seen them against me in various modes, so I feel based on sort of the state of the game and where we're at today, I can give you a pretty good idea where these characters sit and whether you should farm them up or not. So without further ado, let's take a look at the characters and get started. Okay, to get started, we'll use the SABCDEF system. I don't know what system that came from. On the site I use, this seemed to be the standard, and I've seen them with lots of other kind of ranking systems in the past. So if you haven't seen it before, S is best, F is the worst. We'll go from bottom up and take a look at the character. So let's get going. And to stop, we got the rogue, the archer, and the swordsman. And so these are sort of the common characters you get when you first start the game. You'll get loads of these from the basic scrolls, right? You'll get these early on. And honestly, like I've not really seen, once in a while you'll see a rogue pop up maybe in PvP or something like that. But in general, these characters really aren't useful. They're good for getting going, started clearing kind of the first areas of the game and things like that. But you know, once you get your first better scrolls, once we get to the SA and the B levels of the game, you'll want to stop farming these guys and focus more on these other more top tier characters as they stand today. So these are sort of like your early fodder guys. The plus side is if you do finally get some of your characters leveled up and you want to start leveling these guys up, you get tons of stuff to do upgrades with, and it makes it really easy to kind of progress in the game. So don't farm those. You'll get them. They're fine. Let's just move on. And so in the next tier, we've got the Void Assassin, which is an uncommon. We've got the Succubus, which is an uncommon. We've got the Squire, which is a common, and the Mage, which is a common. So for the Squire and the Mage, those are sort of just one level up from the bottom three there. You know, I see mages from time to time in PvP. You can get those up to the level 12 fairly easily. You get loads of those in packs and things like that. And honestly, I'll see a Squire here and there. But once you reach sort of the 100,000, I guess, power threshold, those characters dry up fairly quickly. So for the early game, if you're just looking for some characters to build up, I used Mage for a long time. I had a lot of fun with her. But as time went on, as you get toward more of a built-out roster, they become a little less valuable. The Succubus, I really, really want to like. She's pretty cool. She can put people to sleep, but the problem is she's so squishy, and generally she's dead before she really gets any of her casts off. So that's, I don't really think she's great. And the Void Assassin, he's okay. He can hit pretty hard, but again, he's fairly squishy. He's not going to hold up like the characters higher up in this tier list, so for now, he's going to sit down in the E range. In our D range, we've got the Lich, the Fire Raider, and we've got the Paladin. So I actually worked quite a bit with these characters early on. The Paladin in particular and the Fire Raider. I used the Fire Raider for a tank for quite a long time. They're decent. I mean, they're just not sustainable in the long term. They don't do a lot of damage. They're not really, they take some decent amount of damage. And I've seen a few people run in Fire Raider inside of Arena. I've just found that he doesn't taunt soon enough to make a difference. The damage you take for hitting him with his fire debuff, where if you hit him, you take fire damage. It's just, I don't know. I think there's other characters that are stronger and who've been released more recently, who people just haven't leveled up yet, that just don't have. They just have a better power curve than those two. So I think they're okay. They're decent to level up. They're all rare characters, so you'll see a decent amount of these through your scroll pickups, but in general, I think that I would kind of, maybe build up some characters higher in the tier list from here. The other character here, the Lich, he can steal buffs and everything, and I keep waiting for the opportunity for him to shine. I keep waiting for the ability to steal a buff off of a boss and make my team go crazy and do like mounds of damage, or to have him do mounds of damage, but right now he just doesn't do a whole lot. Yeah, he can steal stuff off of other characters in PvP. He's not the strongest as far as, the damage he can take, so it's okay, right? We're starting to move into the okay range. If I was going to tell people to start today with these characters, I'd say, keep these toward the bottom of your list. The next level, I think, is where we can really say, hey, these are characters I think that you'll find value in as the game continues to evolve and get better. The game's still kind of working things out. This is, the tier list for May of this year. They're reworking the damage system. They're reworking some stuff in the game. This is probably going to get turned upside down quite a bit as we move forward. And I really hope as they move forward, they can find ways to elevate these characters. In an ideal world, would like to have any character be able to compete with other characters throughout the game. I think it'd be great if a mage could fight a legendary character up in the S tier in certain circumstances. Understanding that a legendary character overall is going to be more powerful, but there should be like these little places where you could slip these characters in and surprise people, or find a like kind of an efficient team, whether it's a raid. Whether it's clearing content like dungeons or other parts of the game. I think that's really where these characters could shine, right? To slip them in and do something specific. All right, up to our C tier. And so we've got loads of characters here. We've got the Oracle. And so I just recently picked up the Oracle. She's an epic character. I think in general, she's got some interesting ideas in her kit. The idea of resetting cooldowns is pretty cool. She seems pretty sturdy. She can take quite a bit of damage. I've not got to play with her a whole lot. I do see her quite a bit in the in-game arena, so I think that there's value there. I don't see her a ton. She's not definitely like one of the top meta characters, but I think she's a strong C character and maybe moves up into the B range depending on how you set her up. But as of right now, I'd leave her at the C range. The Paragon is actually a fairly new character. He does tons of taunting. He does a great kind of like he adds power to your team across the board. I think he's actually going to be a really good character. He's a legendary, so he's expensive to level up, but we'll see where it goes. It's to be determined, I guess you could say. And so we'll see where he goes. Next up, we've got the Shaman. And so Shaman's kind of an interesting character. You'll get him when you first start the game as a giveaway. So I think every 15 days or so, you'll get a fully powered up, not leveled up, but you'll get a full starred Shaman. So you can start leveling him up to the tier 12 level with him. And he's fairly easy to level up. I see him quite a bit in the end game. I think this character could be interesting as time moves forward, and after they redo kind of the PvP system in general. I think he's interesting. I really wish things like the Shaman would work against bosses. I think it would make those events much more interesting, because then you might want to level up a character like a Succubus or one of the lower tier characters to try to steal buffs or do something to debuff them or to do something interesting. Right now everything just gets resisted, so it's kind of so like Shaman's pretty much excluded from any kind of PvE content except for maybe dungeons and things like that. But generally, if you're farming a dungeon, you want guys doing damage as fast as possible. So he's sort of a weird character. I do see him quite a bit in PvP. I think that over time he's bound to only get stronger with his kit, with his just wide range of blocking people from getting buffs and debuffing characters. I think he's going to be strong, but for now, I left him in a solid C position. Maybe a B. He could be bumped up, and based on his farmability, you should definitely keep an eye on him. He's easy to get to. Defender of the Faith is the next character. That's an epic character just recently released with the Paragon, and so I think her kit is interesting. She has a complete team buff. I've been using her actually in the raids lately when you have to use the light side characters as a buff for damage. So the boss will debuff you. So things like the Gunslinger would do almost no damage. You throw her in a team, she throws up her attack bonuses, and all of a sudden the Gunslinger's doing damage again. So I've been using her, and she hits pretty hard as well. I think this is a character that I will actually maybe put some shards into, some of the blue gem or the purple gems. I think she actually has a big upside, and I think over time she again might be a character that we'll see move forward. So for now, it's a good strong C character, new character. Not a lot of people are running her. I've not seen it once in PvP. I played around with it briefly, but just right now, you'll see some of the characters we talk about later on are far more further down the power curve and just, I think, better in general. All right. Next up, we have the Acolyte. So an Acolyte is a fairly early character. It's an uncommon. You'll see loads of her from scrolls as well. I do see her quite a bit in PvP content. People will throw her in as a healer, which is great, but in general, once you kind of take down their main damage dealer, she has no attack, so it really becomes a character who's a waste. So it's a race, right? If you have a strong character that takes out their main DPS, Yeah, she's not going to heal you to death, so she becomes kind of useless. People do use her though. I think it's still a good strong C character, which is pretty good for an uncommon. She's kind of moved up into a tier. I mean, you'll see as this goes on that legendary and epic characters tend to gravitate toward the top. The uncommons and the commons will gravitate toward the bottom. And there's a reason for that. There's a power level at play. So the fact that she's an uncommon and she's sitting strongly in the C tier, I think says a lot about the character. Well worth the level up once you get some time. But I definitely wouldn't, you'll get that just in due time, just basic farming stuff, right? All right, next up we have the Chieftain. He's an epic character. The Chieftain I used for quite a while, and he's one of the first, I think, epics I got, so I spent a lot of time throwing gear on him and leveling him up as I played the game. He was definitely one of my main DPS going through. As time went on, again, he's a strong C character. You don't really see it. You'll see him here and there in PvP teams. I think he can do okay in some of the dungeon content. Again, dungeons are about how much damage to how many people can you do and how fast you want to try to clear those to collect the loot and move forward. I've got a great video kind of on dungeon farming. I'll put up in the thingy up top here. Yeah, so he's a decent character, strong C character. I don't think I'd move him to B. Definitely not a D. So I think that's about where he belongs. And then finally we have Slasher, who's an uncommon. Slasher's interesting for me. I actually thought he would be better. I just recently leveled mine up, played around with him a bit in PvP. He's good. He's doesn't hit as hard as some of the other characters. He heals himself, which is great. But he's not really an S or an A or even a B in my eyes. I think he could possibly be a B to some people. I could see that. He's easy to level up to the 12 tiers from upgrades. So that said, I think he's still kind of, again, he's an uncommon sitting in C tier, which says a lot about the character. I think he's worth leveling up at some point. But again, these next three areas, I think, of the game are where you'll really kind of want to focus your farming. Okay. Next tier. All right, now we're getting into the meaty stuff. And so the first character we have is the Planeswalker. He's a rare. It's a very, very sturdy tank. Really, really hard to take down. Taunts, super annoying. He was really, really popular in PvP for quite a while, and he kind of fell to the wayside for some reason. I don't know why. I still use him. I use him in farming some dungeons. I use him in clearing some of the general quest levels. I think he's still a good character. He's strong, solid B. He's a rare, so he's a little harder to find, but I think he definitely deserves a slot of B. He is better than Slasher in my opinion, so I couldn't put them on the same line. I could argue that maybe he should be a C just in usage, just basically what I've seen over the last few months of playing the game. But for now, I felt he was a good, strong B contender, so we'll leave him there. Next up, we have the Dark Knight. He's a legendary. Again, he seems like a good character. Legendaries are tough to get your gems to level them up. I don't see him a lot in PvP, and when I do, I generally go after him. They don't scare me. He has a shackle. I think there may be some bugs with his kit right now. I know the developers were looking at a few things, but for now, I think he's a good character for the future. He's a fun character to play with. I think he's good for leveling up, things like that. But for now, I would probably leave him in a B tier. Definitely not an A character in my eyes. There he is. So from there, we have the Interceptor. Interceptor actually could probably be an A character, but I wanted to kind of make sure that the A's and the S's in my list were, what I truly felt were the best kind of groups in the game. The Interceptor is nasty when she gets leveled up. She will one-shot your character. She silences people. She's a really, really great character all around. Well worth your investment. A legendary character, so it's expensive. I think if she was maybe a epic character, she would be an easy A tier because she would be easy to level up and tier up and make sure you could easily get her to that next level where you really would get the benefit of damage. The people who have her and have put resources in her to get her to tier 12 or upgrade 12, man, she is disgusting. So character to watch out for. Anything into B and up, I would highly recommend the characters to farm. Okay, so next up we've got the Judicator, and so this is actually one of my favorite characters in the game. He was actually one of my first legendaries, and I got really lucky. I really love his kit. He's fun to play with, and one of the cool, like his attack where he can basically summon any light side character to attack with you is super great. He has an auto res, which has saved me more times than I can count. So he gets one res for 0 health or 1 health or whatever it is when he takes a final shot. I just like the guy in general. He hits really hard. When you look at his stats across the other characters, really just a good solid character. I definitely would use him moving forward. If you pick him up early, somebody maybe to invest in and level up, I think you'll find he's fun to use, and I think he's really, really great in raids. Having an extra set of attacks in a raid from all your light side characters, where you're already forced to play light side characters, super strong, super great. Love him. He's a good guy to have. Next up, we had the Pyromancer, which is a rare character. So this is kind of interesting. It's a really high tier for a rare character to be in. She hits like a truck. She's fairly sturdy. She's easy to get the components for. You'll see lots of her characters pop up for fodder to upgrade with. Super fun character. You put the debuff on him, get some fire on a character, and hit him with her third attack, and man, she'll just clear the way for you. So I really like her. I think she's up in B. She could easily be a C character, but due to the fact she's rare, she's easy to upgrade. Easily one of the easiest to farm and most powerful characters in the game, in my opinion. I think if I was to do it over again, I would definitely go after her. I think she's fun to play with and has tons of stuff and utility in her kits. So definitely would keep an eye out for the Pyromancer. I think she's well worth your investment. All right, and then Shadow Priest, she came out recently with the other epic characters we talked about before. This character, I think, over time is going to become a real big pain in people's butts. In PvP, she can throw debuffs on you, or I'm sorry, she can buff her team to basically say, hey, every time somebody hits you, I'm just going to let them heal you up. And you don't know how frustrating it is to try to hit a character and know you have to not only have to hit them, but know you have to expend an attack. So all you can do is pick your weakest attack, which is going to heal them for probably 1,000, 2,000, HP, and it's going to happen to every one of the characters. It is just gross. It is an epic character, so I think you'll see people continue to kit her out. Seen her in loads in PvP content. I think you'll use her in PvE for quite a bit too, as the raids continue to evolve. Having that heal where you can apply it to your team as damage comes in seems really valuable. Again, a fairly new character. Already seeing her in arena. I'm saying her, could be a him. Already seeing them in arena. I think you can't go wrong leveling that character up. I think it's only going to get better as time goes on. All right, we're up to our A tier. Here we go. So for the A tier, we've got 4 characters. We'll start with the Shadow Archer, which is a legendary character. Silences on her shots. She's got the ability to remove buffs. Just a great character. She hits really hard. She can take a beating. Great dark side synergy with this Headless Knight, and we'll talk about sort of that team concept here in a minute. Just a great character. Again, these are going to be harder characters to level up just because they're legendary, and getting those gems to level them up are expensive. You had to get duplicates otherwise. It's not easy to do, right? But I think she seems strong for me right from the get-go. So definitely a character to watch out for. Iron Claw was the bane of PvP's existence up until recently. He's had a couple nerfs come his way. I think the nerfs have actually slid him down into the A tier now. I think if you have a upgraded 12 Iron Claw, I think he's still well worth the investment. He still hits like a truck, but he's nowhere near as bad as he used to be. He used to go into battles and he would just level your team. Sometimes 3 characters if you were really under geared. They've recently made some changes to PvP where you can actually see the level of those characters. That's been a huge help. A great change by 10% to get that in there. And so if you go into a battle and you see a 12 tier Iron Claw, be careful. He will eat you up. Definitely eat you up. So definitely a good character to keep an eye on. He's had a few nerfs. I think he might be done getting nerfed for a while, so he's probably safe. Definitely a strong A character. Well worth the investment. All right, next up we have Lightbringer, also in the vein of the Shadow Priest, a super annoying character, can res up your characters. I think it's one of the few in the game who has a res on them, so being able to bring back people. I think they bring them back at full health. I don't recall right off the top of my head, but again, just super annoying. If you've had to fight her before, you'll want to get a silence on her quick. Hey, that's a great place for the Shadow Archer to come in. Maybe bring your Shaman in. There's some options to silence them, right? But yeah, she's a decently scary character to go up against, and if they have strong characters around her, just a gross character to contend with. Lots of PvP uses. It's good for kind of clearing your PvE content as well as you're working your way through the various tiers. She's a good character to bring along. Obviously having a res is great, and so good character, good strong character. So and then followed by the Headless Knight. So Headless Knight actually just got a rework. I think it was called the Sentry before, but now the Headless Knight is really sort of becoming one of the first meta teams within the game. So the Headless Knight is sort of as, I don't want to say lead because there's no lead concept in the game, but Headless Knight with like a Shadow Archer and an Iron Claw and one other dark side character are really, really strong. I've actually seen that. I've actually seen Shadow Archer with Iron Claw and the Headless Knight mixed with the Shadow Priest, and so you get heals from your Shadow Priest. You got your Angel as your backup. You know, she's dashing out a few heals as well as bubbles, as well as debuff, or I'm sorry, clearing debuffs. And then you got Iron Claw, and you got your Shadow Archer kind of just cleaning up, making sure to kind of clear the way for people to, you know, do what they need to do. So all in all, super great character, very beefy, hits like a truck. Good character, rare character. Or I'm sorry, an epic character. So, you know, again, well worth the investment. Those are the ones you want to kind of look out for, your epics and your rares that you can level up a little bit easier than these legendary characters. All right, so we're on to our final tier. Hey, I just want to take a second to say thank you for watching my videos. If you haven't subscribed, please do. I really do appreciate you people watching the content. I'd love to have feedback for your ideas. I think this is the first tier list for the game, so I'm excited to hear the feedback from you guys of what you think I got wrong, what I got right. Tell me everything where I said was incorrect. But please subscribe. It really helps the channel, and I'm looking forward to growing with you guys and doing more cool stuff. All right. So with that said, I should have a drum roll sound effect. I'm not going to do a drum roll sound effect, but here we go, the S tier. All right, and so this is kind of, I thought, interesting in that there aren't any legendaries in the S tier, and I think a big part of this for me is like when we're doing like a ranking video, I don't want to just look at the utility of the character in the game, which is also like the main thing, but I also want to look at like how hard is it, what's the investment, how long is it going to take me to get these characters to really to make use of them. Okay, so that said, the Forest Huntress I think is by far the best value in the game. It's a rare character. It's the blue level character. You will get tons of these from your, you know, opening up your scrolls, and you'll easily be able to get her to tier 12 through your upgrades, and she is awesome. She will open volley sometimes and just kill a character on the other side's team. You could argue she's almost too powerful, especially for a rare, but I don't want to say that because I don't want 10% to nerf her. I think we need these types of characters at the top tiers. We need to see rares and uncommons once in a while raised to the top. This character is an easily accessible and early game character that players can pick up. This is the character you should be looking for when you're starting the game. Nothing but utility. You'll use her in raids, you'll use her in PvE, you'll use her in PvP. Awesome character. This is the one you should be looking for when you're opening scrolls. This is the one you should start leveling up as soon as you get her, and continue to pump her up, give her gear, give her other scroll, or continue to feed her into her and then tier her up. Easy to get to tier 12, and you'll have nothing but utility throughout the game. So easy pick. Probably in my opinion, probably the best character in the game value wise. Okay. Next up, we've got the Gunslinger. So this is also a newer character, an epic level character who just recently went through a round of nerfs, or, you know, balance, I guess you could say. This character, once you put some tears into her, is still gross. Again, much like the Forest Huntress, she will take out her opening volley has a high probability of taking out some of your squishier characters. She can get chains. You know, she's got like a 30-something% chance of taking another shot, which already hurts a lot on her basic. So she was already ridiculously powerful. She's still ridiculously powerful. She's an epic character. You got to invest some resources into her, but even at tier 1 or 2, I've found her extremely useful. I think you'll see this right now in the PvP area of the game. All the top people are running her. Just a really solid, great character. Again, not a legendary, so you will see her more often than some of the other characters. You'll be able to buy her out of, you know, the stores, so something to keep an eye out on. Right now, great investment. Definitely, you know, if you see her, pick her up, level her up, and you'll be very happy, I think, with your results. And then finally is the Reaper. I love this character a lot from just my grinding and my daily stuff. For as an example, if I'm doing a dungeon and maybe I've bounced down a few levels to, you know, level 4 to just try to collect, you know, dungeon scrolls and level up materials and gear. This guy, you know, when he kills someone, he automatically attacks again. So when you're going through the first two waves of a dungeon and you're at the right level, he'll just hack them to pieces. It's 1, 2, 3, 4, 1, 2, 3, 4. And so the great thing about that is it speeds up your farms. It makes things easier for you to collect new gear, to get level up scrolls. Just really, really solid in that respect. But he's also great in the raid where you have to do physical damage with a dark side character. He's super great there, hits like a truck. He's also great in PvP. He has a debuff where he weakens up your opponent, and then he comes in and smacks him in the head. Just an all-around super solid character, well worth investment. Probably, again, S level in my opinion. All three of these characters, I think if you invest in, you'd be very, very happy, at least as things stand as of today. So all that said, the MVPs of this list, if I had to tell you, hey, what's 5 characters that I should farm coming into the game? I would say definitely the top 3 here. I think those are characters well worth investment. Absolutely go after the Forest Huntress. Super valuable, super easy to farm up characters. From there, I'd say, hey, take a look at the levels B, A, and S on my list here. And then whoever you pick up first, I would kind of lean toward, start grouping your teams. You'll want to get 5 of a dark side, 5 of a light side team going. So pick out what makes sense there as you kind of go through the daily routine and pick up new characters. I would kind of, I would start looking out to build my 5 versus 5 of each character set. But again, you can't go wrong really from anything C and up. You'll probably want to level up some of the D, E, and Fs down the road. I anticipate they'll eventually tweak those characters and make them a little bit better. But as things stand today, there you go. So there we go. This is a longer video than I expected it to be. There's a lot of characters in the game. There's more coming. I heard there's one coming next week, so excited to see what that will be about. I'll put a link to this image down below, so if you want to reference it for yourselves, I'll be happy to hear any feedback, grumbles, complaints, excitement. You love it. You said I did a great job. You said I did a terrible job. I know there'll be people who like certain characters more than I did. I'm sure a lot of it has to do with who you farmed up first and who you kind of pinned your leveling experience to. But for me, I think looking at where the game is today, this is where we're at, and I think this is a great place for characters to get going. So hope you enjoyed the video. I will, like I said, link the video or the picture of this down below so you can have it for your own reference, and we'll probably try to do these videos down the road as we kind of move, as we go forward and have new characters added to the game. Have a great day. Thank you for watching. Don't forget to like and subscribe down below, and we'll see you guys in the next video. Thanks.